Warehouse and operations as a career here, and I'm Marty. We appreciate you listening in with us again today. Today is our 200th weekly episode. Almost 4 years now. I've enjoyed every show, and I hope you've liked one or two of them. Everyone keep asking those questions and listening to our thoughts and opinions, and we'll keep talking and sharing our experiences. So today I wanted to talk about training. Why are we so adverse to training? This week I've been working with experienced order selectors. I generally look at order selecting as two distinct groups, productivity and non-productivity. You know, a lot of people may call what I consider non-productivity a picker position. I think of productivity as required case counts, kind of paid by the case or something like an activity-based pay program. Productivity selectors tend to be a little quieter type of individual. They hustle. That's how they make their money. The work is hard. I'm going to say stressful even. Every movement counts against their time, which is their pay. I've heard the word arrogant used to describe the top 10% of this group. I think I'd call them accomplished. They are focused. They're working smarter instead of harder. I sometimes fault them for doing it their way instead of following the rules, the procedures, and processes. But more on that in a few minutes. Anyway, so I was working with some experienced productivity order selectors this week. They were starting a new job within the industry. I explained how their new employer wanted things done. It was a little different than they were used to doing. One of the points I was having trouble getting across was that although they were using a WMS coupled with a speak-to-select system, this company wanted you to go to a control desk after each pull or batch and pick up your next one. You were going to be handed a batch of labels, scan your batch code from it, and then go pull your product. Now, of course, everyone took issue with that system. Another point was the way pallets were going to be retrieved. They would have a pallet guy lay out the pallets for the selectors to drive under and go with. I explained there would be times when we'd have to wait a minute or two, kind of get in line to get our pallets. That wasn't going over really well. And then I broke the news to them that this particular employer wanted everyone to drive every aisle. The pick path was to be driven even, when you did not have a slot to pick from on an aisle. And that included that the cross aisles could not be utilized by selectors at all. Now that's quite a bit different than any of us. I don't guess I should say any of us. I'll say that's different than most of us have been taught. As productivity order selectors, we're used to selecting the most efficient and safest way possible and cutting out any non-needed travel time. But that's not how this facility worked. There was a reason, of course. There's always a reason to detour from, an accepted practice. But hey, we are getting paid to do it their way. Now, I know that's hard to remember sometimes. We're professionals. We may be used to being a top selector, and we've achieved that by learning how to control our cross aisles and our travel time. And then I had to inform them, and I kind of eased into this one, that their speak-to system would not allow to preview our picks or our slots ahead of time. We'd be expected to make our picks in the order that the machine gave them to us. Yes, this is huge to us as an order selector. I know, I get it, it's different, but it is the process at our new job. Now, the reason this employer is selecting in this manner is that they focus on the efficiencies at the loading and transportation departments. Here, their batches have to show up in the exact order that they're going to be loaded. We'll be dropping off our completed pallets at a wrapping station. They'll be wrapped and loaded onto the trailer immediately. It's actually a pretty slick system. Different, but does bring some efficiencies along with it. Let's come back to that in a second. I want to talk about slotting for a minute. So during this same class, another attendee, a young lady, had a very strong opinion about slotting. She had worked at 2 different productivity places, or I should say she'd mentioned 2 different places, and she thought the warehouses were slotted wrong. She stated that no one had ever thought of where an item should go or where it should be placed. Immediately, 2 or 3 others joined in. I asked if anyone had ever asked a member of management why an item was slotted in a particular location. I didn't get no answer. So I asked if anyone had ever suggested to a member of management that an item be changed or moved or reslotted. One gentleman spoke up and said it wouldn't have mattered. Now, taking into account that I was there to train a group of new hires, people that were not presently employed, I let that remark slide. If you know me, that was kind of hard for me to do. Anyway, I explained that our systems, our employers, spend a lot of time and money regarding slotting of their buildings. I explained how they're slotted based on cube utilization, slot configurations, product density and movement and velocity. And of course, ergonomics, ease of body motion comes into play, not necessarily ease of selection. I was pulling once and we had our 50-pound onion bags. So it was some kind of a special onion. We hardly ever pulled at the end of my pick path because that was the temperature it needed to be stored at. It was a pain to restack that pallet so that we wouldn't crush the other product. But I only had to do it like once a week or so. Yes, I complained. And yes, I did go ask management. That's how I knew the answer about the temperature zone. So, and now I really get it. We're all human. And Lord knows we have our own opinions and experiences. But what is it that, when it comes to our job, we sometimes, or some of us, believe it's our way or the highway? That our experiences or the way we learned is the best way to perform the task. I get that we're the best at our jobs. Remember how I said productivity order selector is sometimes thought of as arrogant? I think a lot of them are Class A personalities. And I went to my trusty Wikipedia, searched it, and it tells us that a Type A personality could be more competitive, ambitious, impatient, time managers, and maybe even a little aggressive. Maybe that's why we are so good at what we do, right? But what it boils down to is we have asked for a job. At our old place of employment, we may have been in the top 1% productivity-wise. All we need to do is go into this new job with an open mind and be the best that we can be. We'll be all that again. Work with the systems. Today, it is more important that we work as a team in many instances. That's going to be hard for a lot of us to do. But we're being paid to do it, paid for our talents and willingness to work, to be that productive associate. I was explaining to people all week that things are picking back up, slowly, but that from what I'm seeing, things are going to be different for a while. There's a lot of skilled warehouse and transportation labor, people out of work right now. When we get that call for an interview or that job offer, well, I think we need to consider it. We may not like it at first, but it'll be a job. And who knows, we may find that picking within our pick paths or slotting or the way onions are slotted is workable for us. Well, for me, it's been a great week, a bit challenging, but isn't that what we enjoy about operations? And on the serious side for a minute, things are challenging right now. It's already getting better, though, and it's going to even get better than it was. I think I said that same thing last week, but it is. We need to focus on our task, be that employee, take pride in our positions, and be open to new beginnings. We are professionals, right? So on another note, where are we all at on our plans? I've had to do some readjusting myself, both personally and professionally, but for the most part, I'm set to achieve my business goals. I'm going to have to buckle down on the personal ones, but, well, I just have to buckle down. Get them done. Even if we're out of work right now, we don't have to scrap any goals. It is perfectly fine to just, add a couple more to our timeline. That's the great thing about planning. We can turn the page and not miss a beat. Well, thanks for all the listens and for making these last 200 weeks so much fun. If you're enjoying each Thursday as much as we are, we'll have another 200 weeks ahead of us. Until next week, please be focused, approach each day with an open mind, and be safe in all that we do.